Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderploeg, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, Sporting Kansas City returned to action last Saturday afternoon in Salt Lake City, and we all hoped it would provide some levity, given the rather dour state of affairs it has been to be a soccer fan in this town of late. And it took all of 3 minutes for those hopes to be dashed and replaced with general malaise, pessimism, and anger. Sporting Kansas City was pretty comprehensive.
Is that Matt Demline's music that we're playing?
Yeah, exactly. He was in rare form on Saturday afternoon, and deservedly so. Sporting Kansas City was pretty comprehensively beaten throughout the first half of this match, and while they did improve in the second, it wasn't near enough to get a result against a candidly superior opponent in both talent and execution. It led to what was probably the most negative press conference I've seen after the game that I can remember since Rapha Wicky took charge. And unfortunately, it was a stark reminder of how far this team has to go. There are reasons for this performance, and we'll get into many of them as well. Let's try to discuss potential ways to rectify some of the mistakes that this match were riddled with. Now, thankfully, Temwa graced us with her presence for about 40 minutes this weekend, and it was enough to get an assist and remind us what this team can look like when she's on the field. The addition also seemed to increase the confidence of several players that had not had the best start of the season so far, and as a result, the Current came away with their second victory of the year. We've got a number of other topics to discuss, including the dismissal of Mike Burns, what we saw that we liked this weekend at MLS, as well as a preview of this weekend's rematch of the season opener against San Jose back in the friendly confines of Sporting Park. Cody, much like the U.S. men's national team last week, I found myself wondering if I was a bit naive to expect much from this match, but hoped after 2 weeks off to train, new additions like Diego Borges getting up to speed, guys like Justin Reynolds and Zoran Basong coming back from injury and being available for selection, that we might see an improvement on what was a pretty lackluster performance versus Colorado right before the break, and boy was I wrong.
Well, in your defense, at least you had, or we had all seen, signs of life, silver linings, some improvement from one player or another from one game to the next, and you couldn't have predicted that basically nobody would show anything. I mean, it was pretty grim in that respect. And so
other than Dejan Joveljic, one player showed something.
Sure. With his one shot that went in the goal.
Well, he had the other shot that was offside. It was also an absurd goal.
That should have been a goal too. Yeah. I mean, we last week or last time we podcasted about the team, we were singing the praises of Bartlow, and whoa, he came out and just he had just an absolute stinker of a game. And so, it was just like that was all around. I mean, I think that probably Reynolds did okay, and I think that probably Harris looked all right, but everybody else was not really up to it, and they look. They still look like a complete work in progress. And I think that part of the thing that, that maybe is the problem is that we kind of expected that once they got LBJ in the midfield that things would kind of solidify. But it seems like putting him in the midfield has put everything back to square one, right? And they're just sort of learning how to play football all over again is what it looked like. And I don't know that there are a lot of coherent, easy answers.
Yeah, I don't. These situations are rarely more than just one thing, or rarely just one thing, right? They're generally a lot of things. I think highlighting Bartlow's performance is probably the most egregious, if you want to call it that, of of the performances of the players on the field. I don't know what the fuck happened to this guy in this game, but it was.
I think. Sorry, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. I mean, I really think that. Some players, and I think that he's one of them. Center back is not just you play any play any center back position you want to play. No, he had been having success as the central player in a back three, and that
or the right-sided center back in a four, right?
Sure, and especially the prior one has a very specific set of skills and responsibilities, and not having Meyer and slotting Jansen Miller in at that spot. I mean, Jansen Miller played okay. He had a big stat filling. He filled the stat box. He had a very positive game in terms of the measurable statistics that center backs have. But his ability to organize the back line and see the field and really organize the defense in front of him, I think left a lot to be desired. And I think that was really a big part of the problem. I think that Bartlow needs to be. If you're playing a back three, he needs to be that center, that central center back in that role, because that's where he excelled, and you could see that he was kind of doing things that didn't really, I think, suit him.
I agree. I think that, so maybe we go back, let's take a step back really quick and talk about the setup. So this team was ostensibly set up in a 3-4-3. I mean, that was the lineup graphic that we got. It was mostly that. I mean, I can't really argue too much with that, as far as it was basically a 5-2-3 in defensive shape and sort of a 3-2-5 in attacking shape whenever they actually had any possession in the opponent's opponent's defensive third.
Oh, did they?
Rarely, but when they did, it was a 3-2-5. There's a couple interesting choices here, right? One of them is moving Bartlow to left center back, and this is obviously because Wyatt Meyer has a high ankle sprain. I mean, happy for him that it's not a bad knee injury. That's what it looked like, and that's what we thought it might have been, or had been concerned it might have been. It appears it's a high ankle sprain. It's probably still going to be a while before he's back. I mean, that's not a great injury for a soccer player to have. So it's not like Patrick Mahomes. You can just tape that shit up and, he's never going to get hit again because he's a quarterback. Like this is more as a central defender, high ankle sprain. It's going to take a while. That thing has to be fully healed before he can play. So there are concerns at left center back, but you have in Diego Borges a left center back on the roster. And you saw when he was introduced in the second half, I don't think he was perfect by any means, and he's a new player for sure. And obviously you don't want to throw guys into the deep end, and I understand, and he's 21, I get all of the things. But it was quite clear that this was a left center back used to playing on the outside of a back three when he came on the field. He wasn't beyond him. No matter what Matt Demline thinks about the second goal and what his culpability is in that one, I thought he was fine. Right? I don't think he was great. I thought he was fine. And compared to Bartlow, who was a fucking disaster, that's a positive, right? You're gaining value at that point. So this 3-4-3,
maybe Bartlow was just high on his own G+ supply.
Well, his G- is pretty bad. His net G+ is very good.
He was peeking at those G+ numbers, and he was
he should have peeked at those net G+ numbers, because things get a little bit different when you look at the G-, which Sporting has 4 of the 5 worst in the league in G-. Yeah. So I think that it's I place some blame at Wicky's feet when it comes to this.
100%.
I think there was some galaxy braining going on here.
100%.
I don't know about galaxy braining, but
no, there was
being a little too cute, right? So being a little too cute with what he was doing.
The reason it's galaxy brain, Drew, is because you were moving multiple players from multiple spots, right? Like you moved Manu out of the midfield and up to the wing. You moved Davis from the right back to the midfield, and you moved your center back issue was, as we've already discussed, it was kind of weird. And so there's just too many moving parts, right? Just too much change. And
we're not talking about moving Kevin De Bruyne from the midfield to the wing. We're talking about moving Manu Garcia. We're not talking about moving, Achraf Hakimi from fullback into the midfield, or Trent Alexander-Arnold from right back into the midfield. We're moving Jake Davis into that position. It's just a different skill set. Well, and so you're creating potential problems by making all those changes.
And in the case of Manu, you're not just moving him up a line, you're moving him up a line and over, to, nominatively a wing type position. That's not where he actually played, but I mean, that's the idea, right? And so it's too much, man. It's too different from, from what the players were used to, and the base I don't think wasn't solid enough, right? The foundation of the team, in the first 5 games or whatever, is not solid enough to add all of these other tweaks and things, and so in that respect, I think it absolutely was galaxy brained.
That makes sense. I understand where you're coming from. I think, yeah, the number of changes that you requested of players who are not of the highest skill set. I mean, accepting Manu Garcia, but still So there's 2 things here, right? One of them is making this structural change, and we suggested before the game when we did our preview that he might move to a back 3 to sort of mirror the back 3 of RSL and create wing back cover for their wing backs, who are very good. And Xavier Gozo was excellent in this game, as he has been all season. I mean, he's going to get sold for so much fucking money this summer, dude. Like, it's absurd. Like, he's really, really good. He's the real article, for sure. Probably, may have more upside than Diego Luna, who's also on this team and played great in this game. But regardless...
What I told my son about Gozo, and my son, doesn't... pay close attention to the U.S. men's team, so he doesn't. He was surprised that Gozo was a United States eligible player, and I said, well, I said he is, and he's probably going to move up that depth chart pretty quickly because there's nobody like him on the U.S. men's national team or really in the pool, and not only that, but the United States tends not to produce players like Gozo. Like really elite, speedy, dribbly winger boys that are all the rage in like global football nowadays. Like the United States does not produce those players. They just don't. And we have a player who is that, and he's pretty spectacular.
He is, and that's why he's got the eye of so many teams in Europe as well. Yep. At 18 years old, for him to be at this level doing that, like, you can see that you're talking about a real player. But regardless, like, I understand structurally why they make this change. I think the way that he went about it was a little bit it's not ideal as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Justin Reynolds as more of a wing back, okay, fine. Except you knew you had to take him off and move Jake back over there at some point. So It's like, have you sacrificed a structure that your team is familiar with in order to try to play the opponent? That was what I think was really the flaw in Wicky's game plan. You've sacrificed the structure and the things that your team is familiar with doing, and probably has some limitations in being able to execute, just given the talent and the age of the players for the most part on this team. I texted you this afterward. Sporting fielded 4 U22s in this game. Yeah. They fielded 4 players that were 21 or under in this game. Yeah. That's a wild stat, and I think it goes to show that there is potential for this team to improve over time, and there's potential for this team to get better over the season because of the fact that you're giving so many prime minutes to younger players. But it's also a limitation that you need to be aware of, and you need to be putting guys in positions to succeed. And you should be putting your best players in positions where they can find those players and help them. And so that's the secondary issue I have with putting Manu Garcia at ostensibly right wing. He sort of played a sort of inverted role, and he started dropping deeper and deeper and deeper to try to get on the ball because he was not touching the ball at all. There was nothing going on Sporting's right side in the first half of this game. And so he's basically nowhere in this match. So he started dropping deeper to try to engage and like get touches, but it was just unbelievable how much Manu's influence on the game changed when they made the switch to the back to the 4-3-3 at around the hour mark, and all of a sudden he's getting touches and he's influencing the game and is much more involved. You can't take a guy who is like the fulcrum for everything you do and strand him out on an island over on the right side of the field. Yeah. Like I understand if the opponent does a really good job of eliminating him by putting 2 guys on him and kicking the shit out of him, and then you find the options around him. That's one thing. But don't help them by just stranding him out there by himself. Like what? That's the big issue I had with the game plan.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you don't you don't have to do that. You could just play a 3-5-2 and drop him back into the midfield centrally. Like, there are lots of options, right? And I don't
that's
think
what would happen. I really thought that's what it was. They called it a 3-4-3, but Harris and Joveljic would basically playing as two strikers, and then Manu would be deeper, and that is not what happened at all.
Well, and the other problem is that, putting Manu over there shifted Solomonov to play left wing back, which but against Gozo, not a good idea. Like, I mean, there's a reason why Gozo had so much freedom and space over there, and a lot of that is because Solomonov is like he's not a wing back. He's not a defensively minded player in that respect, and so
don't tell Andy Edwards you said that.
I know, right? And I know that maybe that was part of the reason why Bartlow was shifted over there to help cover, but it just didn't work, right? And it was just like there were lots of things that just didn't work, right? It just didn't work. Even Jake Davis in the midfield, which I think we were looking forward to having him play with LBJ, like that didn't really work. Like Davis didn't really have a very strong game either, and so there were just lots of. I think that somebody in it might this might be Matt Demline's third shot out, of the first 10 minutes or whatever. But I think he phrased it as it looked like the JV playing against the varsity. And whoever said that in the Discord, it was right, because that's the way it looked. It looked in the first half, it was just so disjointed, and everybody looked like they were playing a familiar a position with which they were unfamiliar. And even the players who were playing familiar spots like Pulskamp. I mean, Pulskamp, honestly, like he's lucky that he didn't give up like 3 or 4 more goals off of his own bad, stupid, dipshit turnovers. Like just passing the ball to like nowhere, like hospital balls into the middle of the field that were easily either picked off or jumped or one off of Sporting players. It was just a bad performance, and I think shuffling the players that were out there so much made it like there wasn't any rapport in terms of build out. Like they were unable to find good passes. Part of that, I think, is also due to Manu not being available, because Manu makes himself available all the time. He's a constant outlet. That Manu was not there, and we've expected LBJ to be that outlet. He wasn't there. And so you saw just lots of just hapless balls being worked. They would attempt to work balls up the sidelines. They'd meet stiff opposition. The ball would go into the midfield to no one. It was just hopeful balls just being just looped into the midfield and collected by RSL midfielders. And so it was a really tough watch, honestly.
Well, and it makes you wonder, what did they think they saw hitting those balls into the midfield? Because it seemed pretty clear that there was little chance of that being completed. And now,
I don't think they saw anything.
Well, but that's the thing is now you've created a really bad turnover.
Yeah.
In the middle third of the field with all of your help defense behind the ball.
Yeah.
I think they're coming downhill at you. I don't understand what the rationale was for some of these. It's I understand. Okay, Mun is not there, and usually you see maybe they're hitting the spots, and the guys are supposed to turn into those spots. You didn't have the right people that knew they were supposed to turn into those spots. That could be it. But I've never seen so many just shit turnovers. I played on 15-yard passes in my life. It just kept happening, just over and over and over again. And Bartlow is responsible for a lot of them, but as you said, Pulskamp is responsible for them. LBJ had some trash passes in the first half of this game, dude.
Yeah, he did.
It just looked like a team that I think you texted me. It's you were have these guys ever played soccer together before? Because that's what it looked like on the field. And I'm not trying to go on a rant here about the quality of play for this team, but it was not good. I can't put lipstick on this pig. It was bad. It was really bad. And I'm left to we're left here trying to decipher what caused us to get to this point. the post-game press conference, Justin Reynolds was on, ostensibly because he got his first MLS assist, and it was a nice assist to Decky. I mean, Decky did most of the work on this one, but still, it was a nice ball. And he didn't even want to talk about it. He was like, "We played like shit." I mean, he didn't say that, but he basically said that. He basically said we played like shit, and we came out soft. We didn't play hard at all in the first half. We left too many mistakes, too many turnovers. We weren't up for it. And he's not wrong. Like, everything he's saying is correct. I don't know if they made it first to a 50-50 at all in the first half.
Didn't seem like it.
I mean, I'm probably like I said, I'm probably sensationalizing it a little bit, but it felt like they never won a 50-50.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was tough, man. It was tough to watch. And you're right. Like, Shoppy is this left wing back sort of fullback thing. Andy Edwards' argument there had a tough day. Like, it was tough. It was tough watching Shoppy there. And obviously, putting up against Gozo is bad. But Calvin Harris was coming back to help defend a lot in those circumstances. I don't know if you saw that. Like, They would typically have Harris would run his ass back as soon as Gozo was on the ball, and they try to sort of double team him for a good reason. Like, I understand what the game plan was there, but that also pulls Harris all the way back to the 18-yard box when his benefit to the team is being able to stretch lines, and he can't do that if he's having to help defend all the time. Yep. And Shoppy was absolutely fucking nowhere on the second goal. Like, just like the John Travolta meme that we like to bring up all the time. Like, that was Shoppy's like, "Oh, was I supposed to track that guy?" Like that. And there were 3 or 4 of those kind of moments. So it's like, you can say what you want. Like, if he like fully commits to being a defender, he could be, but he wasn't fully committed in this one. He was out to sea.
Yeah, and you think, maybe if Meyer's there, or maybe if Borges plays like the whole game, maybe things look a little bit better. I think at the end of the day, I almost think it's not even really worth thinking about too much, right? This is just not what this team is going to be and look like in like 3 months, right? It's just not. And if it is, there's a big problem, right? If it is, this is easily a wooden spoon winning team, unless Gretzman has nothing left in the tank, and Orlando's malaise is too much for him to do anything with. Like they're just, as is
Gretzman going to play center back? Because
right, that's like the thing, right?
I don't think he can score enough to offset the number they're going to give away.
Right, but Orlando's center backs are better than Sporting Kansas City center backs, and so I don't know. I mean, that's really not worth talking about at this point, but I think that the point here is that the team is bad. They're still bad. They haven't gotten a lot better, mostly because they have the same players. They don't have better players, not yet. The players that they do have are still sort of bedding in, and we're seeing some, maybe tactical changes that are keeping between the tactical changes and the injuries and the interplay between those two things. I think that they're just not being able to be consistent, and when you have that inconsistency built on a shaky foundation, you get what you get, right? And you factor in also all the young players, which we've already discussed. I mean, it makes sense. Like there are reasons for what we're seeing. It doesn't make it any easier to stomach, and doesn't make it. It makes it maybe marginally easier to be patient about it. But it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest takeaway.
Yeah,
because having this after 2 weeks off after the Colorado game, and
right.
Seeing this kind of performance, like I said, now there are reasons. I don't think Wicky put them in the best position to try to put a functional performance out there. I think this was an extremely tough ask right out of the gate, out of the international window, and having to go to Salt Lake and play at 44,000 plus feet of altitude and run around against it and play against a team who Pablo Mastroeni has been clear in saying that this is the best team I've seen in training for the first 2 months of the season in my career, right? Like, I think that, and I've highlighted RSL a couple times and what I've enjoyed about MLS this week because I've been really enjoying the way they're playing soccer. I was very concerned about this match. I was just hoping that there would be a little bit more competent performance that ended up in just better team wins. This was not a competent performance. This was a poor performance, and that's the hard one to take. I can take getting beat by better teams who are in a better space than this team is right now. Getting beat in this way, playing the way they did, is a struggle. And I think all of us are just looking for signs of life, and it was hard to find them in this game.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say from signs of life, Dan Jovic, that's the one reason I don't think we're going to win the Spoon, because this guy is too fucking good. He's too good. He literally needs to touch the ball like 5 times a game. Maybe, and just pulls off an absurd goal, and you're just like, oh yeah, by the way, this guy's on the team. Jesus Christ,
that goal was so ridiculous, like so ridiculous.
Well, he gets one up by Gozo later in the game, but still, like, it was an absurd goal. And then the one that got called offside, he was offside on the play, but the one that got called offside was just as nasty. The chip. Like, it was just as nasty, and I'm just like, I mean, the good news is if they can find a way to get him touches in the box, they're going to score goals.
Yeah.
I mean, every coach in the league that's like doing film on Sporting has to be just like, do not let this fucking guy touch the ball. Do not.
Yep.
As long as we can keep his foot off of it, we're okay. If you let him touch the ball too much, we're fucked. That's just kind of how it is. And it's wonderful to have a player like that. It just sucks that it's not, we're not finding ways, the team's just not good enough to utilize him in the way that he could be.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we're still waiting for Janssen to come through and to really kind of take his place.
He had such a good first game, and it's just sort of gone downhill since then.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know. Maybe the key is to play a 4-3-3 and have him play a single pivot. I mean, maybe that's just more naturally going to be his spot. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that it whatever was going on Saturday was not it. Like, that's not the player we need to see. That's not the player that we were hoping for and that we paid substantial compensation for.
And a transfer fee for. GAM was spent on his transfer fee and his salary. I think that I can't believe that it's helpful that ever since he's been here, they've been doing something different every week. Right? So it's great that he was so positive in the first game against the Galaxy, and he gets the goal, and he actually looks pretty good. But it's hard to build rapport with teammates and understand where different teammates are supposed. He probably has an expectation of where guys are supposed to be, and they're not there. And you know what I mean? His read, it's going to take some time to build that. And if his midfield partners change all the fucking time, that makes it difficult for him as well. And so you're not allowing these guys to bed in very well if you're changing that shit up. That's another reason where it's put Manu in his spot where he's the best.
Yep.
Put LBJ in his spot where he's the best. Put Decky in his spot where he's the best. The rest of the guys, I sort of understand why you move it around a little bit, but at least have the good players in the spots where they are the most successful.
Effective.
And try to create some level of consistency. Yeah. Yeah. And try to be consistent. And I think Wicky is maybe overcoaching the team a little bit right now.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem.
Well, I think that we suspected that this might happen, right? We kind of suspected that once LBJ showed up that we were gonna maybe see some changes to the way that Wicky really wants to play or whatever. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And I don't I don't know that we have even yet a very clear idea of how exactly Wicky wants to set up the team and play, other than just some sort of broad strokes, regular things that you would expect from any football coach.
To be fair, the back line has been in some state of flux at some position or another the entire time he's been here, right? So it's like we've had fullbacks out, we've had center backs out, we've got it is very hard to build a positive game tactical structure when your back line is what you're trying to solve for every fucking week. Like, that's hard, man. Like, if you don't have a defensive base, it's really hard to make the other shit work. And they have been scrambling to do that. And it's because the personnel have been so in and out and in different ways. You hope it's another week. Zormasong played, about a half hour, I guess. So he must be like really ramping up into. Justin Reynolds played, an hour plus. So you would hope that Reynolds is probably good for most of the game this weekend. Maybe Zoe can start and play an hour himself this time, and maybe you can start to build some sort of like consistency. But yeah, their inability to do that, and like Jaden Reed was doing, while sort of useless attacking wise, he was a really good defender, and he got hurt as well. And so this is part of the problem, right? Is just the revolving door of which defender is healthy this week.
It's like none of the defenders are good, and so you would expect or maybe hope that they would build some sort of rapport where they're more than the sum of their parts and they can defend better together. But when you can't even establish that consistency and they're individually not great, like this is kind of what you get, right? It's kind of a shit sandwich. Right. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Ian James similarly, like they've had so many guys in and out of the lineup on the defensive line that I think that it is certainly contributing to the situations that we have now. Yeah. Does Rapha have the same problem that we were discussing with Pochettino last week, where he's sort of trying to get them to do positive offensive things irregardless of the quality of the team that he has available to him?
I mean, I don't know. I think that I just feel sorry for him, honestly. I think that the team is so bad, both in defense and attack. I think that the task ahead of him is pretty monumental. One of the ways that that's the case is that they can't do anything well, right? Like their XGA is terrible. Their XG is terrible. They're not able to stop other teams from getting into scoring chances, and they're also not able to get into good scoring chances often enough themselves. And like what did they have? Like 5 shots, 6 shots, something like that, something ridiculous. And like you're not going to win games like that. And for you to be that open and exposed at the back and also not getting any chances, it's like what's going on? Like,
right. But the structure by which he's trying to create chances is progressive passing through central midfield. And It's very aggressive, progressive passing through central midfield. And he does not have the players equipped to be able to accomplish that. So as a result, there's turnover. They never actually progress the ball into a scoring area because they're trying to do shit these guys can't accomplish. And so the question I'm asking is, similar to the Pochettino conversation we had last week. Now, it's a different example, right? Like, I do think what Pochettino is doing is right, to have different options for how he can deploy that team at the World Cup. When it comes to the talent of this team that we expect this team to be this year, there's no new players coming until the summer. And the only one we know that's coming in the summer is a center back, which is necessary.
Capita's coming.
Capita's coming, and we'll have a conversation about Capita here in a second. But still, Capita can't progress the ball through the midfield.
No, but he will play in the position where Manu played, and Manu moves back into the midfield, and then you have Capita and Harris that you're playing those progressive long balls to. Like that,
right? But what happened in this game is it never got to the feet of Manu because the pass was so bad. Right.
That was the original sin of this weekend, was moving Manu up.
So you think if Manu is it tends to play out in this game. When Manu moved back into the midfield, he was getting on the ball a lot better. It's also after the hour mark when everybody's gassed because it's 4,000 feet of altitude and the space is open.
Sure.
Like if you watch the game state of this game, the spaces opened up quite a bit for Sporting in the second half. They did come out much better in the second half and trying to play soccer. It was obvious that the coach Wicky had a word.
Well, they couldn't have come out much worse. So there's that.
That's true. But no, but they came out on the front foot and influenced the game right out of halftime, and then things happened. But they at least looked semi-dangerous. And even if they weren't getting the shots off, they looked like they were getting into areas where they could create shots. My question is, if you have Calvin Harris and Kapita Kapemba and a guy like LBJ who can hit the long switch and a guy like Manu Garcia who passes into open space the way they do, should you be trying to run progressive patterns through central midfield, or should you be trying to run a more defensive structure that you can counterattack with? That's my question.
I think that, in terms of the long-term build, which is what I think that Wicky's doing, I think that, that working towards drilling those build-out structures is important. Like, I understand your point, but at the same time, we're not going to get relegated, right? So there's no reason to bunker and counter. So that's off the table. So you can just kind of, I hate to say
bunker and counter. I'm not talking about playing fucking Minnesota United last year. I'm talking about being like LAFC last year, right?
Okay.
Like not as concerned with trying to be too cute with how you move the ball through central midfield and waiting for your moment and then absolutely burning them, right?
Sure.
And because with Kapita, with Manu, with LBJ, with Decky, with Calvin Harris, they have the ability at full strength to just like draw, and then absolutely fuck them on the back end.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's what they're building towards. I really do.
Okay.
And I think that I'm just tempted to throw everything about this game out, right? Because of where Bartlow ended up and all that stuff.
This is exactly what we said last week about the U.S. Men's National Team. Just throw it out the window. It doesn't mean anything, and that's what I'm asking you. I'm legitimately asking that.
Bartlow playing in the center or even on the right, he was pretty good at those long balls and putting balls down into the channels for Harris to go get. And I think that he'll do the same for Kapemba and the G- is a thing, but also the G+, his G+ is what it is for a reason, and that's because he is a pretty adept progressive passer, and so I think that is
not
absolutely...
not on the carpet 20 yards onto the correct foot.
Agreed. Agreed.
But if he's sending a winger over the top, he's really good at that. Yeah. I would agree.
And so I think that seems to be where the build is headed towards, is having that speed on the wings and then being able to hit teams over the top. But if you can't hit teams over the top immediately, right? You still have to be able to facilitate some sort of build out and at least to the and possession, at least to the point of drawing teams towards you so that you can play over them.
It's not like RSL high pressed in this game.
No,
they really didn't.
They didn't really have to. Like, we were willing to give them the ball regardless.
Right, but that's my point. Is you have to figure out a way to pull them towards you so that you can hit that long ball.
You have to be dangerous. You have to be dangerous in order to do that. And there's no reason for anybody to come into a game thinking Sporting Kansas City is dangerous enough to do that. There's just like so little about this team that is scary. If you're game planning against them, that it makes them pretty easy to prepare for. And I think that. On top of that, I just don't, the last two teams that this team has played have been teams with super high X-Dog, and this team just does not have that. And, I think that that's one thing that we can be certain about with LBJ. Maybe he'll become, a plus passer and a good to elite double pivot or a single pivot player in that respect, but he's not like a destroyer, right? He's not out there wrecking people. He doesn't show up high on that X-Dog.
Jake was a step late over and over in this one, and that's part of it's probably because he's been playing right back most of the season. Like this is the thing. It's like we do need to find some consistency and let these guys get a run of games for like a month doing the same thing so that they can build those, like not only the rapport with each other and the positioning and the relationship with each other, but also knowing where they are in the field and being able to make the right play. That's another thing we discussed last week about the men's national team is not knowing how to foul, but also not knowing how to read where the foul needs to happen and get to that place and achieve the foul, right? Yep. And, I mean, Jake, a couple of his tackles were just absolutely fucking terrible. And it's because he's been playing right back and he's not reading that space, and he's also not reading what move LBJ is going to make and where he's going to go cover, right? And it's just a... It just looks so disjointed. It looked like a preseason match for them. It really did.
The times when you can tell that it's Jake's responsibility to like man mark or to follow players who are checking back to the ball, his recognition of that is so late that by the time that he realizes he needs to be up there, that player has received the ball and is turning, and he's coming in.
And then he's doing the Jake. He's doing the slide tackle, which turns into a bad tackle or a yellow card or another problem.
Yep.
It's weird to say this, but Bartlett looked more composed in the position. And part of it is because Bartlett's been playing that position all year.
Exactly. He's been playing it. Yep. Absolutely.
And so there's something that needs to be solved for.
Bartlett was still not good.
He was not good, but he was better than I expected when he came on. I mean, I think he's been not great most of the year, and so I was just like had very limited expectations, and he didn't do anything really terrible. Let me put it that way.
That's fair. Many other players on the squad had worse games than him.
Exactly. Sure. But as you mentioned, Kapita Kapemba cannot get in this lineup soon enough. I don't know if you've watched Sporting social media today, but there's Kapita doing duels with or doing 1v1s with Justin Reynolds and nutmegging him. And I mean, I know you don't care about training stuff. I'm telling you, this guy is a 1v1 menace, like a 1v1 menace. We know this. We just got to find a way to get him the ball where he can get 1v1 with a defender. Yep. That's the key, right?
And that's Manu in the midfield.
Yes, and exactly. That is the thing. It's like you need force multipliers, man. Force multipliers are key. I firmly believe that LBJ underneath Manu together, that is a ball progression force multiplier.
Yep.
And I also believe that if 3 people crash to Manu, if LBJ's gotten the ball, he can go over the top to Kapita. There are options, right? Yep. But you don't create those options without drawing the opponent to places they don't want to go. Mm-hmm. And you can't do that with Manu Garcia at right wing. Just can't.
Completely agree.
Now that we've agreed on everything, let's move on to the Kansas City Current. Temwa Chewinga came to save Chris Armas' job. By the way,
are you saying do we need to be more sports talky and just disagree? Do I need to just disagree with you?
What the fuck are you talking about, Cody? That's total horse shit. Jacob Bartlett was fantastic.
He's goated. That's what my son would say. He's goated. He's goated. He's goated.
Yeah. Is that even like? I feel like even your son's getting old at this point because I feel like that phrase is old.
He is. All my kids are getting old. My daughter's 27, dude.
I mean,
I'm like, man, you are old. She struggles with that. So of course that makes me say it more.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because you've been feeling, when you, I can't say our age, but I'm not that far off of you. I still like when you get to our age, we relish in when the youngs realize their mortality and their age. Like it's like welcome.
It doesn't get any better. It just keeps getting worse.
Exactly.
The older you get.
Yep, it certainly does. All right. Moving on to the Kansas City Current, who were a bright spot this weekend. Yeah, candidly.
Absolutely.
Temwa comes in to save Chris Armas' job and does a pretty good job of it. you're just reminded of just how fucking dangerous she is and how much gravity she has because she pulls every defender to her, and all of a sudden the team looks better just by her presence on the field. And she is not at full speed. Like if you watch her, she is not at full Temwa speed at all. But still, she's so fucking good at soccer, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to watch her. She had several dangerous moments in the game. And then, of course, gets the assist to Deb on the goal that ties it up. And then, honestly, my biggest takeaway from this one was how good Ali Sentner looked. I have not seen her look this good on the field at all for the Current, like, since she's joined. And I think some of it was related to...
She passed the ball.
Yeah. But she dropped to receive... And then found passes. And I think that, the passing is a big part of it, but also it's just like she was effective at it. And I do think that Temwa being on the field created space for her, right? There was opportunity for her because Temwa was on the field. She creates, like I said, she has so much gravity. She pulls defenders to her. All of a sudden, Allie's got more space to play in, and I think that's why she works so well for the U.S. Women's National Team, because she's got like fucking Trinity Rodman or Alyssa Thompson,
nothing but space.
Mal Swanson, I mean, there's or Michelle Cooper. Like, she generally has two super dangerous wingers on either side of her, so she's able to get in those spaces and be more effective. And in this game with Cooper and Temwa on the field, you started to see her take advantage of that, and you could see what could happen in those circumstances. There's still a giant fucking hole in central midfield, like a giant hole.
I was actually really impressed with the Bethune-Labonta midfield. I was expecting it to be problematic, but it wasn't, and I think it mostly wasn't because Lowe was basically a deep line playmaker and stayed low. And
she stayed pretty deep in this game. Yeah.
Fine. You know what? That might be the best for everybody involved because it solves the midfield problem. It shields the back line, and it probably prolongs Lowe's career by another couple years if she can just sit and destroy and create from deep. And dude, Bethune, I was concerned that Bethune would be too leaky defensively, but she was fine. And
she's a smart player. She reads space really well. Like,
I like her. I like her an awful lot. Honestly, I think she's really fantastic.
She when she played at the Spirit, she's my favorite player on the team. I mean, I know everyone loves Trinity Rodman, but she's just her game reading. She's like a Manu Garcia level of like game reading and like understanding space and where player runs and just seeing all of it. Like her game, her soccer brain is like to 11 for sure.
And she's got some sauce too, which is that's good.
Oh yeah,
we like the sauce.
Yeah. But it was a positive. Like, the team looked good. You all of a sudden got a feeling like it's okay. And like I said, Temwa only played 40 minutes, and so there was another hour of game they had to play, and they still looked really good after she came off the field. And Haley Hopkins continues to look really good coming off the bench as well.
Yeah, she's been absolutely impressive, and she's. I assume that's what they signed her on for, is to be that off the bench option, maybe spot starts, just a good, very solid veteran depth piece, and I think that she fits the bill perfectly.
I agree. It makes you sort of wonder what Penelope Hocking is there for, to be honest. But I mean, they have a ton of options on the bench when it comes to attacking players, both wide and central.
How old is Hocking?
She's not that old. She's like in her early 20s, right?
Okay, so maybe she's a more developing piece, and Hopkins is sort of more for right now. I don't know.
She's 26. Hocking is 26. Yeah. So I mean, but she was like Bay's leading goal scorer last year. Bay didn't score a lot of goals, so that's something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, she was a good player for them, and so it was surprising they were willing to let her go. But I think you got at least glimpses of what this team can look like when it starts moving. And as much as I want to see Chris Armas go away, I don't want the team to have to suck ass for an entire season for that to happen either.
Right,
you know
right.
I mean? It's like,
I agree. It's tempting though. It's tempting to be like, if they suck hard enough long enough, he'll be gone. But we don't want that. We need good vibes.
Yeah, I mean, Temwa's under contract to 2028? Okay, so I just don't want Temwa to be like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Because that would be bad. That would be
bad.
Very, very bad.
Absolutely.
The other big news was Mike Burns. No longer with the club. This led to a lot of suppositions about, what exactly went on there. I don't think it's quite as interesting as anyone would like to think it is. I really don't. The basic read I have in this situation, Mike Burns was signed in June of 2024 on a 1+1 deal, right? So he had 1 year plus a 1 year option. I'm fairly certain that 1 year option was exercised in the offseason by Peter Vermees. Mm-hmm. And his contract was about to run out, and David Lee was not going to keep him around. So he was like, hey, we're not doing an extension. Would you like to go and find something else, and we'll just pay you until the end of June?
Yeah. Everybody wins.
I mean, I don't think Burns is responsible for any of the situation that we have now, outside of the Shapi Suleiman of Happy Meal. Like, I really don't like. I don't really think that he is responsible for any of that. I do think that he is a component of a prior regime that David Lee is trying to move on from.
I agree.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's about his. There's no crazy like palace intrigue here. I just think it was just Matt Doyle was bringing up shit from 15 years ago about how they like signed a guy they didn't know who he was, and I'm like, okay, yes, that is a thing that everyone knows about, but I promise you that has nothing to fucking do with why Mike Burns is no longer employed by Sporting. I promise you that it did not come into the calculus whatsoever. It's just simply that. We talked about this when Mike Burns' predecessor was hired for a week, and then he was hired. There are very few people that would take that job to be beneath a CSO, like Peter Vermees. And David Lee is looking for someone of higher quality than that. And I don't say that as a like dig on Mike Burns. I'm just saying that like when you look at the resumes of the people that are doing his job in this league right now, it's more robust than his.
I don't think that Burns was bad, but he also wasn't good enough to justify keeping, if that makes sense. Like he's
right. It wasn't like he did such an amazing job that you have to keep him around.
Right.
And I don't know that he and Lee necessarily saw eye to eye on how to do things, which is an immediate red flag about keeping him around as well, right?
Yep.
And not to say that you need a bunch of yes men around you, but it's more like if you're trying to build something in a certain way and one of your prime direct reports vehemently, I don't know, vehemently is probably the wrong word. I don't know for sure. I don't know anything about this, but if one of your prime direct reports isn't in alignment with what you're trying to do, then maybe it's like, okay, best for both of us to part ways at this point. So.
Yeah, you want if you're building a roster and a club, you want to surround yourself with people who see things the way that you see them, or if nothing else, provide valuable pushback in appropriate places, and that requires sort of a level of professional trust and competency that maybe Jacobs doesn't have, and that's fine.
Mike Jacobs is at Nashville SC.
No, my God, dude.
I wish Mike Jacobs was still here.
Yeah.
Look at what Nashville's doing right now. Anyway, Mike Burns is who we're talking about.
Where did Mike Jacobs come from? Just random crap.
He hasn't worked for Sporting since like 2018.
I know.
So I don't know.
It's just random. That's what happens when you get old. Just your brain just pulls up random stuff from wherever because it's just got too much.
I wasn't even sure you knew who Mike Jacobs was, to be completely
I don't even know. Hey, Drew, I don't know that I do, honestly. So it's just a name just floating around in the ether of my brain.
Good times.
Yeah.
Shall we discuss man-to-man versus zonal marking tonight, or do you want to save that for another week? It's up to you, my friend.
I mean, I don't know. I guess we can. It's a really interesting topic. I don't know how much do you have to discuss about it.
Well, I mean, I can talk about like sort of the overall sort of philosophies towards it. I'm interested to see, like, I feel like Wicky has deployed a man marking scheme in several circumstances, and not all. He is a
modern coach, after all.
He is a modern coach, yeah, and man to man marking is very much in vogue right at the moment. Like it is, especially in high pressure schemes. And if you watch Sporting's high press, it is very much man to man oriented. Mm-hmm. The reason I wanted to bring it up is because I wonder if this team has the players to pull it off. Like, I think PSG,
I can answer that for you.
PSG can do that to Liverpool at home. I'm not sure Sporting Kansas City can pull this off. And so maybe it is like from that level, maybe it's worthwhile discussing.
When you texted me that you wanted to talk about it, I think that was my first response, is that like it doesn't work if you have inferior players, right? And that's kind of where we find ourselves. Like, you know, when one of the reasons why it's so prevalent in the Premier League, especially, is that the Premier League is the talent level in the probably more even than it's ever been, and you know, even teams that are facing relegation have absolute elite athletes, and not only elite athletes but elite soccer players too, with elite soccer brains, and so those teams, even though they are relegation fodder, they are able to do things like press man to man. Now, Sporting Kansas City cannot do that because they do not have those players. Because, you know, when you play a man to man, you are isolating your players and you are forcing them to be able to win duels and to dribble by people and to whether it's defensively or when you have the ball, you're expecting your players to be able to compete, in terms of soccer IQ and in terms of, physicality and athleticism. And like, this team is just not there. And I think you can see that a lot, even something so simple as, watching Bartlow try and break the press by dribbling past a bunch of players. Like, he was able to do like that first, he was able to dribble through a couple of players. And
Ian James does this too. He's pretty good at breaking the first presser, but yeah.
But then after that, it all goes to shit, right? And you lose the ball and you give the ball up in tough spots, and then the other team's running downhill at you. And so I think that that's one of the benefits of running man to man. If you have a competent, athletic, off ball presence, is that you can force teams into disadvantageous decisions and disadvantageous areas. But Sporting does not.
It requires not only the physicality. I think Sporting has the guys who can run and do this. Like, I'm not concerned about their ability physically to do it. Like, I think the physical.
They have guys who will work.
Yeah. The problem is there's such a complete, like, you have to have such an unbelievable understanding of your cover shadow.
Yeah.
Like, as you're taking a pressing angle, to ensure that you're not allowing spaces behind you, and that you also really have to understand the movement of the player that you're pressing and where that movement is going to, and putting your back pressure on exactly the right point to make it so that it is a poor idea to pass to your man. Right. It requires a lot of thought. Like, I think that's the point that you're bringing up. It's not just the ability to run, and because if it was the ability to run and go all over the place, Jansen Miller would be the best presser on earth, and he's not.
Right.
Jansen Miller has a significant over-pursuit issue. Like, he over-pursues all the time. He does not read shoulder movement, feints, any of that stuff very well. He's just like dog, run at ball, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. And you cannot fucking function in a man marking system.
I mean, Jake Davis does the same thing, and so
right. Right, but that's the point that I'm making is like deploying a man marking system with a bunch of guys who are dog chasing car is a bad idea, because as soon as that first man loses his mark, the whole structure is fucked.
Right.
And you're not PSG, where one guy breaks a move and you know what to do positionally to be able to respond to it. And I think that we sort of just jumped all the way into what man marking is, but I think everyone can sort of recognize what man marking is, right? Like the whole concept is, here's a guy. Everyone marks up a guy, right?
It's man-to-man versus zone. It's like,
It is. And a little bit, now granted, where it becomes a little bit complicated is in deep build-out, right? If a team plays out from the back a lot, if you press the goalkeeper, now you have created a numerical disadvantage somewhere else on the field, right? So there is something that you have to sort of compensate for in those circumstances. And there's a whole video I can show you guys. I'll post it there's a good football meta on man-to-man marking and how it's used and why building out from the back is sort of changed and how they break these man-to-man pressing shapes. But still, like the whole concept here is that you have to be so dialed in mentally as well as physically to be able to pull this off. And I appreciate the fact that Rapha's trying to do sort of modern football man shit. I don't know that he has the personnel to pull it off.
I think that that's true, but I don't think that we would have thought at the beginning of last year that Vancouver had the personnel to pull it off, or the beginning of this year that Colorado has.
Vancouver's an elite pressing team.
So I think that it's really more mindset than anything else. You absolutely, I do think that Sporting does not have the talent to do it. Like you actually have to have depth, and you have to have players who know what the hell they're doing a little bit. But I don't think that there's a big jump to get to that point. And so, like a lot of the things that Wicky's doing, I think he's building towards having that be at least a tool in the toolbox, right? And so, even if it doesn't have really the possibility to be effective right now, you're introducing those concepts at this point, so that as you bring in other players and you start to turn your squad over, you have that sort of solid foundation in place, so that you have the ability to man mark when called for in future games, in future seasons, mostly.
Well, this goes back to the point I was making earlier: is it a problem that Wicky is coaching the team he hopes to have next year versus the team he has now?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that there will be enough players who overlap that I think that it's worthwhile.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
And you got to coach, man. I mean, you got to coach, and you have to coach your game plan. At the end of the day, you have to coach the way that you coach, and this is the way that he coaches.
But
and
you also have to get your players to execute the coaching plan, right? Like if they're not executing, and you continue to not be able to execute, then you've done something wrong.
Well, I think they have up until this last weekend. Like I do think that even though they haven't been necessarily good in previous games, I think that we could see that they were attempting to execute the plan that had been put forth to them. And so I do think that this last weekend was galaxy brained, and there was too many variables, and that's part of the reason why it all fell to shit. And so we'll see. Like this is new for all of us. Like we don't know, maybe this weekend will be more of the same, and next week we'll be like, what the hell? Maybe this weekend they'll look more coherent, and we'll be like, okay, one step forward, two steps back, two steps forward, one step back, whatever. Like we know that this is a work in progress, and that progression might not be linear.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I hope you're right. I hope you're. No, I can't disagree. I'm joking, but I can't disagree with what you're saying. I think that's true, and I think that it's a reasonable and fairly rational way to look at where we are right now and what realistically we can expect, which is, game to game, there's probably going to be some ups and downs. I think you're right. I think the Colorado game went wrong because they had no answer for what happens if you eliminate Manu.
Right.
Right. And also Matt Wells is, insistence on a type of play
Man.
that Sporting's just not up for.
Let's
move. Hold on. Let's hold it for a second.
Okay.
We're gonna move to what our favorite thing was in MLS this weekend, because I have a feeling yours might be a game that was played between the Colorado Rapids and the Toronto FC.
It's one of them.
It's one of them. Yeah. So that you saw the flip side of how that team plays, sort of getting them a little bit. And that game, the Toronto versus Colorado was played at like noon. The game was like at noon.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I am very glad that there are more games throughout the day Saturday to partake in. I wish there were some on Sunday, but I understand with Easter that's why they didn't have games on Sunday. But still, there were that game was absurd. It was at noon. It was absolutely absurd. It was MLS after brunch, basically. Like, that's what it was. And it was as drunk as if you ordered the bottomless mimosas when we're on your fourth pitcher.
It was.
Like, it was an absurd game. By the way, another great game for Daniel Shalhoub in this one. If you watch this game, Shalhoub was great in this game. I do miss him, especially seeing the dearth of options we have in the left wing right now. I do miss him. But also, the Colorado Rapids sort of got by the way that they play soccer.
But it's fine, because you know what? They were entertaining. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
The circus is entertaining.
I would rather watch that than watch Sporting play, right? Like in Sporting's current iteration.
Good. The 10v10 part of this game was actually really fun.
Yeah,
really fun.
Here's the thing, like it doesn't matter what happened to the Rapids. They didn't change. Like, they were still playing with intensity. They were still going at people. Until the very end of the game, they were just going at Toronto, and I'm here for that. Right? I love that. And when we did our little squad building exercise, that's one of the things that I said is I wanted a team. If I was building a team, I would build a team that was a bully, like, especially at home. They come out and they punch you in the mouth and they don't let up. And I really respect that about Colorado. And for me, at this point, Colorado is appointment viewing. I will watch them every weekend because I love that intensity, and I love that ambition and desire. And I do recognize that there's a downside to that, and that was on full display. But like I just said, it's entertaining, and I'm here for it, and I can't wait to watch them again. And I think that Colorado, RSL, and Vancouver, and that you could probably throw Nashville in that as well. Those are teams that are playing. I think that sort of very sort of front-footed, aggressive, progressive style of football that is really appealing to me.
I would agree with all of those examples that you gave. I do think that in this one there were the goalkeeping on both sides made John Pulskamp look like an all-star. Okay,
man.
This is some absurdly bad goalkeeping.
After watching Zach Steffen come to Sporting and just hearing him whine and complain, and I didn't have a lot of respect for him to begin with, but I lost so much during that game. And just to see him have that howler over the weekend, it was glorious, honestly.
Well, and he was terrible on the second goal, too. It wasn't just that.
He's not good.
He's not good.
He's not
good.
But
Gavran was also really bad at this game. The goalkeeping display in this one was, it made John Pulskamp's weekend look good by comparison. And Pulskamp was not. I mean, the first goal, I don't like. The first goal that Pulskamp gave up at all. Luna's goal, I think Pulskamp is leaning the wrong way there. There's no reason he needs to lean right. He should be able to get to his near post there. But anyway, regardless, it's nowhere near the level of mistakes that were made in the goal by both of these teams. It was just absurd how bad it was.
Maybe tend to forget a little bit because he was a national team player. But, part of the problem for Zach Steffen and why I was never really sold on him is he was always good for one of these a game. Even when he played for Manchester City, he was always good for one, just absolutely just complete mind.
Just boneheaded, what the fuck?
just brain fart, just doing like the weirdest, dumbest thing, and we saw it time and time again. And so I would rather have a goalkeeper who like couldn't play with his feet or whatever, didn't have the shot stopping upside, than have that guy in, because you can't trust him. And Colorado learned that again on Saturday. Can't trust him.
Either way, for a neutral, it was obsessively entertaining. Like just
yeah.
Unbelievably entertaining. Josh Sargent got a goal and an assist in this one, by the way.
Yep.
And it was fun. It was a really fun game, regardless. Yep. Like if you didn't care about either of these teams, you were enjoying the hell out of this like matinee that we had on Saturday, for sure. You mentioned that maybe there was one other thing about MLS that you enjoyed this week. So why don't you tell me what that was?
I'm trying to think of what it was. I don't know. Like there's like
old man brain has caught you.
There's so much interesting things going on. Like it was really nice to see Inter Miami not win. It's just good having
Guillermo Biro get the first goal in their new stadium.
Right. It's just nice having villains in the league, teams to root against, even if they have Messi in them. It's so much fun, and this was perfect because you got to see a great goal from Messi, but then you got to see a tie game, and I thought that the overall, I thought that game was really interesting, and it's Son's 4 assists. Amazing. Like that's worth the price of admission, right? Is watching that kind of performance in our league. The Vancouver-Portland game was really fun as well. Like there's a lot of really fun and interesting soccer.
Seth Berhalter did his shit at the end of that game.
He did. Dude. And honestly, the 2 Portland goals were both great as well, right? It's like there's just fun stuff happening. And
but I can't give credit to Phil Neville. I'm sorry. I'm just not ever giving credit to Phil Neville.
No, he's terrible. He's terrible.
The players did a great job for Portland. The players did a great job. If I was a Portland
fan, I'd be
Phil
like,
Neville, go
Neville
fuck
out.
yourself.
Yes, he's terrible.
Speaking
it's amazing
of LAFC,
to me. It's amazing to me, like how many great young players are in this league right now, and they're not just like high upside players. They're players who are starting and playing and really impacting game. Players like Berhalter, like Securas, right? Like these are players like half of Red Bull's teams, right? Like these are players who are making really big impacts, and they're fun to watch. Like Gozo, right? Like Gozo and Luna both. These are both young players, American players who are like they're appointment watching, and I can't remember, I can't remember it ever having been quite like this. Like, in the past we had a lot of good young players when Alphonso Davies was young, but I mean I wasn't tuning into Vancouver games just to watch Davies, right? But I'll tune in to a San Jose game to watch Securas because he's a 20-year-old American number 10 who's balling out and who's leading his team. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, I think the best way that you can describe this is like you said, there have been good players, young players in this league, but it's been 1s or 2s or 3s or things like that. When they do the 22 under 22 list, after you get past about the 5th one, you're just sort of like, okay, whatever. Tutul Rahman puts out his list of just domestic. These aren't even all U22s, just domestic U22s. And who had great games, who had not, who had just, noteworthy performances, who had bad days. It takes him 4 skeets to get through it all because there's that many under 22 players domestically, just domestic. We're not even talking about the international ones that are signed like Diego Borges or Diego Borges is how it's pronounced, sorry. Or a guy who I'm going to talk about here in a second, or several other players. This is just domestic U22s. He's got 30 plus of them that he's tracking that are all getting meaningful minutes in MLS teams right now. Julian Jarkowski Hall, Adri Mehmeti, obviously for Red Bulls. Mehmeti had another absurd game this week.
Yeah, he's great.
Just absolutely absurd. But also Julian Hall scores again. He's got as many goals, I think, as Dejan Joveljic. There are just a bunch of really fun players to be excited about in this league. So I would suggest, for the listeners of this podcast, check in to the rest of the league, because there's a lot of fun shit happening, and I know that it's hard when your team's not playing well and you sort of think about like what you don't have, but also it's fun to like take in all of these other things, including my man David Martinez, who is playing out of his fucking mind right now for LAFC. Yeah. And just I know it's not an MLS game, but last night he absolutely just torched Cruz Azul twice. Just torched him. Like absolutely wrecked those motherfuckers. And I'm sorry, man, when you're 20 years old and you're wrecking Cruz Azul in the quarterfinals or semifinals or the semifinals of Champions League right now?
No, they're in the quarters.
It's the quarterfinals of CONCACAF Champions League, and you're just torching Cruz Azul, just whatever, on a Tuesday night? Like, come on, man. Like, he wrecked them in this game. I can't believe Marc Dos Santos pulled him off. He was on a hat trick. He pulled him off after like 60 minutes. And he was just... and again, this goes... Son Heung-min obviously gets a goal in this one. And Denny Bouanga... That LAFC team, dude, I'm telling you, they're my MLS Cup pick. Yeah. By a wide margin. Yep. Because not only are they absurdly dangerous going forward, they've given up like what, 2 goals in all their games this season? Like they're like Miami can't compete with that. No. Miami can score, but you can score on Miami
pretty easily.
You still can. Even with the upgrades they made defensively, they're not as good through the midfield as they were last year, and so as a result, you can still get on them. And you can still counterattack them, and LAFC will counterattack the fuck out of that team. Like, they will. And so it's just like, I don't want, like, sometimes I feel like it seems like I'm, like, I love LAFC when I talk about this, I'm on this podcast. And part of it is because Son Heung-min plays for LAFC, who's perhaps my favorite soccer player of all time. But still, they're really good. Yeah. They're really, really good. And I was unsure of the Marc Dos Santos hire, and they looked a little, you know what I mean? They didn't seem to have the attacking prowess that I was expecting them to have, and then they've just all of a sudden just unleashed hell on everyone the last couple weeks, and you're reminded of the fact that they have Son Heung-min and Denny Bouanga and David Martinez locking down the right wing, and
it's scary.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Like, I am not looking forward to Sporting playing them because they could hang numbers on Sporting.
That's okay. It's a rebuilding season. We just have to like externalize that, compartmentalize it, and be like, okay, we're just gonna watch. We're gonna root for MLS and the CONCACAF Champions Club, and that'll be that, and we're gonna enjoy it.
Hopefully, I haven't looked at the schedule. Maybe they'll have this Champions Cup final like the next 2 days later, and we're
just gonna enjoy it when they come play us. So because that means we get to see elite players, and it's okay. It's all right. You gotta with this club right now with Sporting Kansas City, you have to just you have to be zen about it. You have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the journey. We've all in the last 15 years, we've seen successes. We've seen Open Cups. We've seen an MLS Cup. We know what that's like. It's gonna be a little bit longer, and we just have to just sit back and get what enjoyment from it we can. And
I feel like we're kind of like the 2013-ish Royals right now. That's kind of where I'm feeling like we're at right now. It's gonna be pretty shit this year, and maybe it'll get better next year. And then they did they make the World Series in 2014 and then won it the next year? I can't remember.
I think so. So it was something like that.
Yeah. It was something like that, right? Because they lost the Giants the first year, right? Because that was all the Madison Bumgarner shit. So yeah, I think it was still 2013 where they were really young and really bad, and then 2014. Someone's gonna correct me in the Discord later, but I think that was about right. Anyway, next thing in potpourri is a sad one. Big Pat Agimang goes down with an injury yesterday where it didn't feel great, and then ruptured Achilles is the diagnosis. And you could tell when he came off the field, he knew, and he was really upset. And I'm this is a guy that was probably going to make the national team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, given he is elite at a significant skill that Pochettino valued
there's nobody like him in the pool, so that makes a big difference.
I think it was fairly likely he was going to make the 26 and probably play at least some minutes in the group stage, and to lose that opportunity to play in the World Cup on home soil is just I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine it, man. If you've built yourself to somehow gotten yourself to that place and believed that it was possible, I can't even imagine it. It just sucks. And this happens, right? This happens before every World Cup.
Yep.
You're gonna have some injuries.
I did not realize that that injury is basically the same type of injury that has been such a problem for Daryl Dike. And so, best wishes to him, and that's just part of the sport, honestly, and that's just to speak totally in pragmatic terms. I mean, this is why it's so important to develop a deep and wide pool, because injuries are just part of the game, and you will have elite players get injured, and that'll be that. And it might not stop here. I mean, imagine what happens if Tyler Adams can't make it, or if Jedi can't make it, or if Christian Pulisic gets injured and can't make it. These are players who there's no real replacement for on the depth chart, and you just kind of go into it with a realization that this is a reality, and that these are the kinds of things that happen in soccer, and that's why it's so important to take advantage of opportunities when they're presented to you, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of the tournament. You are going to have some key players that are probably not available. No one goes fully healthy into the World Cup or goes through the World Cup fully healthy. It's just kind of how it goes, and it just sucks for Big Pat. You feel for him for sure. Speaking of Christian Pulisic, are you aware of this whole situation?
Yes, I am.
You are? Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Right. I mean, a gigantic fumbling of the bag by Christian Pulisic. Although, I mean, I'm not sure Christian is self-aware enough to understand that he's fumbled the bag that way, but
seems not.
Yeah, seems like a guy who's not self-awareness or awareness of things in general is not really his forte. But for those of you not aware, I'm not going to get into the Real Housewives of U.S. Men's national team with this one, but apparently Christian Pulisic at some point in the last several months broke up with his girlfriend, and then was also back several months prior to that, on Raya, which is a invite only paid dating app, trying to find women while they were still together. So that's basically the story here. Also, in similar news, Weston McKennie's been banned from chess.com for cheating.
That's not really surprising, honestly.
John Mueller has found that he's opened 2 more accounts that still haven't been banned. So
it's just funny. It's just funny. I don't even. I can't get plussed about that one way or the other. I just think it's hilarious that you would cheat at chess, and that you would cheat at online chess and get caught. Those are funny things to me. And Wes is. I love Wes. He's a unique individual. So. No,
that is a very good way of describing it. A unique individual. We can send hate towards Christian Pulisic, but we can also wonder, is this why he's playing like shit? Because he's girlfriendless and of his own accord, and pouting in his house in Milan. I don't know.
Life's rough, man.
Difficult situation to deal with. All right, moving on. One thing to look for: the first rematch of the season comes to Sporting Park as the San Jose Earthquakes come to Kansas City. The Quakes have only gotten better since Sporting has seen them. They haven't gotten worse.
Sporting's gotten better too, so we're good. We're right there.
Yeah. And Nico Shakiris, as you mentioned, has really sort of not only solidified the 10 position, but really come into his own. He played fantastic over the weekend.
He's like one of the best players in the league right now. I mean, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's one of those players who's worth tuning in to see. So
if Bruce is doing his shit, that's what's happening right now.
This whole team is just such a Bruce team. It's the coolest thing in the world. Like
bunch of domestics, bunch of former draft picks, and
really amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
And so and it just boggles the mind. And like when you compare that to the previous Sporting Kansas City regime, who seemed to be of the mindset that you shouldn't buy any domestic players, and that there weren't any local players worth developing, like it just kind of puts that all into perspective, because Bruce is doing it with with nothing special, right? I mean, yeah, Timo Werner, but he didn't even play last week.
Preston Judd and Bo LaRue.
Yeah, give me a break with that. How about Preston Judd's goal celebration? I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" Now, in retrospect, now that we have the context, it makes more sense and everything. But it was at the time, I was like, "That's your own stadium." Like, I can imagine peeing on the corner flag in your rival stadium. Like if Jansen Miller did that in St. Louis, I would be ecstatic.
Oh God.
He might get pelted. He would get pelted with shit.
But there would 100% be beer cups and cans thrown at him. Kind of like the Cruz Azul fans.
Yeah, I might buy a Jansen Miller jersey if he did something like that. That was like, that's great. Do it. Love it.
I mean, I can appreciate Jansen Miller's shithousing capabilities. I don't appreciate his soccer play on the field. So no. I hope he's not out there to do something like that.
He also is a G+ monster, Drew. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, he's also a G- monster. So both of those things can happen at the same time. So I think, this is going to be a tough game for Sporting. It is. Now, they won't have to go to a back three to sort of offset the opponent's back three. This will be a 4-2-3-1 from San Jose, but they are playing very well, and they're playing very positively, and this is a second-year Bruce team that is very much in Bruce's image, as you noted. A lot of domestics, a lot of former draft picks, and Timo Werner. And Werner playing on the left wing, which I think that was the big question with him coming in. Would they make him play center forward? And Preston Judd's been playing well enough that they don't need to, and I think left wing is probably the best place for Werner. He's in a lot of space there. He uses speed, which is a significant weapon of his, and his creativity, which is really useful against MLS defenses. So I have concerns about how this is going to go. Now, Justin Reynolds is probably healthy, so I think that there's going to be some opportunities there. I also think we're going to see I don't know how much, but a dose of Kapita Kapemba in this one. And if the reports from training are true, now granted, this is training, he is going to be someone to watch. He is, like I said, the stuff that I've heard is all stuff that I saw, which is he is an absurdly lethal 1v1 player. You just have to get him into those 1v1 situations. Now, that is something that Sporting has struggled to do consistently. But if you consider the number of 1v1s Calvin Harris had against Colorado even, much less the previous games, if you can get Kapita in those windows and he has the speed to break out into those windows, I think that there's opportunities there. I just don't think Sporting is a team that's going to beat people 1-0. So they got to find a way to get more goal scoring chances, and I do think that Kapita is a way for them to do that. And the more that opponents see that speed and see it as a problem, the more that he draws defenses in their direction and opens spaces for guys like Dejan Joveljic, who what happens when he has space.
So are you expecting a 4-3-3?
I think that is the best setup for this team. I don't know what to expect. I don't know Rapha. I've never spoken to him before, so I can't tell you that I expect one thing or another. I think it makes the most sense for this team as it is currently constructed.
Agree. Yeah, agree. And I never thought I'd be, post Vermes era, wistfully longing for the 4-3-3, but I think that we're at that space.
Vermes recruited Manu Garcia, who is the epitome of the 4-3-3-8-10. Right? He is the epitome of that player. This is the like I said, we've said this so much. This is the platonic ideal of what Vermes would want in that position. Yep. But that said, the way this team plays soccer does not beat Vermes at all. So structures are one thing. Tactical ideas are a different thing. Yep. Right? And I don't find this team to be a positional play team. Like, I don't feel like they're trying to
be in a position
spread wide and but
they're not disciplined enough to do that.
Not disciplined enough. God damn it, dude! I was trying to end on a positive note.
Hey, man,
you went straight to
LBJ is out there on walkabout, just like play wherever, dude. Just somewhere in the midfield, fine.
I can't argue with these points. I just wish they weren't true.
No, but I think your point is right. I think that you can. It's pretty easy to close your eyes and imagine a competent performance with Harris on one wing, Kapita on the other wing, Joveljic in the center, Joveljic on an island, but that's okay. Joveljic has proven that he can handle that because he doesn't need volume. He just needs, a touch or two in the box, and he'll score off of that. You have LBJ as a single pivot. You have Manu and Jake Davis as the eights. You have Reynolds at one fullback. You have Basong at the other fullback, and then you have Borges and Bartlow as your center backs.
Borges and Bartlow, yeah. I think that's probably the best line this team has, right?
It's probably the best lineup, full 11 that the team has, honestly.
Right, and so assuming it's completely healthy, that is what we would expect to see. Yeah.
Well, let's
anything to get Xabi Suleimanov on the bench, please, for the love of God. I just can't watch it anymore, dude. I can't. I can't watch him. I can't watch him just with his head down, running at shit, and just never doing anything that goes towards goal ever. Ever.
The best thing is when you're watching him in person and you hear him screaming at his teammates. He has a very high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
And listening to him scream at people is the funniest fucking thing, man. He's this little...
It's did he just inhale a helium balloon? What is going on right now?
It is really funny. I'm sorry, don't mean to disparage our small man with a small voice, but man, it's funny.
Anyway. I think that it's a reminder of where we should have been, or at least I should have been prior to the RSL match, which is this is going to be an extremely tough match for Sporting.
Yep.
They're coming up against another team. The schedule has not been kind to Sporting. It's not like they've been playing teams that are struggling right now. Yeah. The majority of the opponents they've been playing outside of LA have been playing pretty well. And so, and Columbus, right? The two teams they've gotten results off of are the teams that are not having a great season right now. The rest of them have all been playing quite well, and you've seen the result of that. San Jose is another one, unfortunately, and you just hope at a certain point. I mean, as we discussed last year, when you're last in the conference, everyone looks like a tough out, but still... these all look like untenable ones, and we're trying to find the ones that maybe the club can compete in. And I think that San Jose is going to be a tough one. It really is, and I think we all need to be prepared for that and need to be aware of that, and instead be looking for positives regarding structure and capability and ideas that are just not, for whatever reason didn't come off, but they look like they might. That is really going to be what I'm looking for in this one, and hopeful for in this one, and hopeful for seeing some positives from Kapita Kapemba getting on the field and doing his thing. So
I think the goal should be to kind of weather the storm, make it through, especially this game, and then try and make it through the next month, nicking points where we can, and then starting May 9th, we've got Portland away, we got Galaxy at home, Austin away, and then Red Bulls at home, and those are games that are more winnable than most. And so
maybe not even winnable, might even have the right phrase, right. But games you expect them to be more competitive,
right? And so we could at least go into the World Cup break with a little bit of momentum. But these next, the next games, we're going to play the Colorado Switchbacks on Tuesday, and then Vancouver, Chicago, Seattle Sounders. That's a rough That's a rough string of games, and so we just
the Fire is probably the easiest of those three, but yeah, it's not what I would call easy. It's just the easiest of those three.
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And the Fire game's away, right? It's in Soldier Field, so it's like, that's yikes. We did not even talk about that. There is an Open Cup match against at the Switchbacks on Tuesday. So it'll be interesting to see how Rapha handles that rotation. Obviously, they can do the short-term loans and such.
Right.
I would not be surprised to see some SKC2 players in the lineup for that one. Not like they've been doing that great either. So. Who the fuck knows if that's a good plan? But hopefully, this team's not winning the Open Cup this year either. So I don't know that it makes that much of a difference. But I'm sure they will try. Regardless, I think that there is potential for this team to show progress, and that is what we will be hoping for and looking for. And next week we'll tell you about whether or not we found it or not. And until then, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all next week.
Go Sporting.